Yep, we're talking about Pokemon again on the channel. I'm turning into a Poke YouTuber. I mean, there's just nothing else that's really happening that I find interesting, so I wanted to share my thoughts on the presumably big Pokemon Scarlet and Violet patch that is incoming. Now, before we get too deep into things, I want to lay down some groundwork. If you're having fun with Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet, or maybe you bought both of them, like, cool. I hope you enjoyed these games. I like games that are buggy from time to time. I still have fun with them, but I'm able to look at the game and realize, hey, at the end of the day, there are issues with this game. When it comes to the glitches and bugs, yes, we've talked a lot about them on the channel. I even made a YouTube short about them where I did some fantastic singing of the Pokemon cartoon theme song, and I understand that glitches and bugs aren't necessarily indicative of everyone's experience. This isn't a situation where a bug or a glitch that's within the game is easily replicated by everyone. These seem to be kind of on a case-by-case basis as to whether they're happening to individuals or not. And there's really no rhyme or reason that sort of gives a reason as to why this glitch or bug is happening. I fully do believe that there are some people who have experienced minimal glitches and minimal bugs, and potentially even no glitches and no bugs. However, we still have to come to the realization and accept the fact that this game is not really all that well optimized. There is frame rate issues throughout the entire experience. Some are much more noticeable than others. There's tons of pop-in issues and pop-up issues that happen throughout the game. I'm not saying that that makes it a bad game, but when we're talking about a game from one of the biggest companies in the world as far as revenue is concerned, Game Freak, it's definitely a bit of a disappointing experience. The fact that this is one of the lowest rated mainline Pokemon games to date because of the fact that there are so many issues within it should tell you everything you need to know. When it comes to developing on Nintendo hardware, the one company I expect to have a high level of standards besides Nintendo with their video games would have to be Game Freak. They're a huge company. They transcend AAA gaming with the amount of revenue that they have, but it doesn't seem like that revenue is necessarily translating into video games. But of course, there is the great hope that there's going to be a big new patch coming out to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that'll fix most of these presumed issues. When it comes to this patch, people are hoping that glitches and bugs are minimalized, that performance issues will enhance the game and how the game runs. And they're always quick to say, well, when you look at previous Pokemon games, there's been lots of patches for them. So why wouldn't Game Freak and why wouldn't the Pokemon Company essentially do these patches to make it a better experience? Now, some people would say something like, well, the game sold 10 million copies in 3 days. It's still selling ridiculously well. What would be the incentive for them? To which people will say, well, they want the game to be good. You know, word of mouth can travel fast, and if people are not having an enjoyable experience with it without a patch, then people would start to not buy the game and purchases would slow down. I don't necessarily think that's the case with this though, because there's no indication that that is happening thus far. Plus, if it's coming down to something like a Metacritic score, and the Pokemon Company and Game Freak and Nintendo want this game to be rated higher on Metacritic, I don't really necessarily see that happening. If anything, it's been steadily going down. It's now currently sitting at a 73 out of 100, which, I mean, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It doesn't mean it's a horrible game. But as far as a Pokemon game is concerned, a mainline game especially, this is one of the lowest rated entries in the franchise. It's just a fact. You might disagree with it, and in your opinion, it might be different, but factually speaking, this is the lowest rated Pokemon game. So what would be the incentive for this patch? I'm not really 100% sure. I mean, I guess maybe they would want the game to be a better experience, but like I said, people keep telling me, and I keep seeing videos pop up, well, they've patched Sword and Shield a ton, and there have been a ton of patches for these games. So I thought to myself, well, there's always patch notes. You know, within these patch notes, we'll be able to see what is actually happening. We saw a performance patch actually happen for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild originally for the Nintendo Switch that actually made the game run more consistent in docked mode, because there was some weird issue when in handheld mode, it would run a little bit smoother and have a better frame rate than in docked mode. Nintendo came along and fixed it. So as someone who didn't play Sword and Shield, I assumed that they had fixed the performance of this game, and that's why everyone is giving into this hope. Well, let's take a look at that. These are the official patch notes for Pokemon Sword and Shield. These are being provided by Serby.net, which of course, or Cerebi.net, which is, you know, the biggest Pokemon website in the world. It might be kind of hard to see a lot of this stuff, but I'll basically summarize what's going on here. They added in some fixes. They added in some more fixes, fixed a bug, fixed various bugs, fixing various bugs, fixing various bugs, fixing various bugs, more bugs, fix a problem with the battle mechanics as well. More bugs, more bugs. And that was the last time that they updated this game, which was May 12th of 2021. So looking at this, I thought, well, that's pretty weird. You know, there's no mention of any performance updates to the game. I feel like if there was a substantial, inclusion of a performance update within these Pokemon games, it would be within the patch notes. You know, when Doom got a sizable performance upgrade for the Nintendo Switch in terms of the graphics and the frame rate, that was mentioned in the patch notes. Other games such as The Witcher 3 that got a sizable upgrade in the visuals, once again, that was in the patch notes for the game. It told you everything that these patches were actually doing within the game to fix the performance along with the various bugs within the game. So then I thought to myself, well, okay, maybe nobody noticed this. Maybe there was a performance update, but for whatever reason, SarahB.net didn't talk about it. So I decided to look at some old Reddit threads from around the time that Pokemon Sword and Shield came out to maybe find the real answer to this situation. So in this discussion from roughly 30 years ago, this was a post that seemed to be very popular on the Nintendo Switch Reddit threads, and it was basically saying, why hasn't there been a Pokemon Sword and Shield patch? The game is released in quite a buggy state. The wild area lags and stutters like crazy in online mode. Online players pop in and out of wild mode like crazy and fly on air over lakes. Group Finder for raids usually doesn't even work, despite millions of players playing the game. Usually we expect patches within the first week from other developers to fix such glaring issues. I'm wondering how Game Freak gets away with this. I know they are usually rarely fix bugs in previous games, but I don't remember a Pokemon title ever shipping with such glaring issues. Now I thought that was kind of strange because, they rarely fix bugs in previous games, so it seems like the Pokemon community themselves, especially over on Reddit, don't really have all that much trust. Now, like I said, this is an older thread, it has been archived, but it seems like there never was really a solution for this. So many people pre-release warned everyone that Pokemon games historically don't tend to get patches, and that if there are any issues with this game, which we knew there would be, then don't expect any of them to get fixed, and yet here we are. Well, okay, I'm, losing a bit of faith in this, but I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, this is an older thread. Let's look at a thread that is a bit newer to get the real inside information on what happened with these various patches and games, because there must be some indication of a performance patch. It couldn't have been just bugs and glitches and adding in the DLC and adding in things that maybe weren't working right. There has to be more substance to this. There has to be more meat on this bones, because everyone keeps telling me they're gonna fix it. They're gonna fix these performance issues. They've done tons of patches before, yet every patch doesn't seem to say anything about performance. Okay, let's take a look at a newer thread that I found. So in this thread from Monday, December 28th of 2020, a year after this game was actually released for the Nintendo Switch, somebody asked a thread post over here, after various patches and the 2 rounds of DLC, are Pokemon Sword and Shield now worth picking up? Have they improved significantly since launch? Pokemon Sword and Shield were my first Pokemon games I didn't bother to pick up within a few weeks of launch, given the significant issues that were highlighted in reviews. Dexit, Dynamax being a poor substitute for Mega Evolution, disappointing graphically, a very short story and linear story. And then, yeah, the patches didn't improve anything, just fixed a couple bugs and exploits. The base game is still decidedly average. The first DLC was meh, the second DLC was pretty good, several Pokemon are still missing. And all throughout this thread, they never said that the game's performance fixed. Some bugs fixed, some glitches fixed, but that's not what we're really focusing in on here. We're focusing in on the performance of the game. The fact that the game dips to sub 20 frames per second at times. The fact that there's tons of pop-up and glaring pop-up within the game. The fact that the game seems to be refreshing constantly and can't necessarily keep up with it. The fact that, well, modders have already got the game running at 60 frames per second on Nintendo Switch emulators, but that's a topic for another day. I'm just wondering, though, why is there so much faith in Game Freak and the Pokemon Company to update this game? To do this new big patch that people are saying, oh, it's probably going to come before Christmas because they don't want kids, having a bad experience. A lot of kids don't care about stuff like this. A lot of kids will be able to look past stuff like this. And for them, it'll probably be an enjoyable experience, but I almost feel like this isn't necessarily a game that's really directed towards kids as much. I felt like with Legends Arceus, that was a step in trying to make a more mature Pokemon experience. I really enjoyed that game thoroughly, and it's one of my favorite games of this year. But Scarlet and Violet seemed to be a step back in terms of quality. Instead of going forward and making a more polished experience, we're getting a less polished experience. Now, it seems like, according to my developer friend, his name is MVG. I mean, you know, he's one of the few developers that'll still talk to me because of my Twitter tirades. He says it's pretty much a memory cache issue and that it could potentially be easily resolved. But he also feels like this isn't going to be a situation that gets resolved ever, because what's the point? The game is still selling like gangbusters. You know, are you going to go out of your way and take the additional time and effort to put in, you know, fixing some of the core issues within the game? And I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's not a foregone conclusion, like a lot of people are saying it's going to be. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon that this game is going to be fixed and that, you know, this game will get its performance issues ironed out, because historically speaking, it doesn't happen. I just showed you all the information. I don't know what else I can do to sort of convey that to you. You know, if you're disappointed with the game as it stands now, that disappointment may never go away, ever. I hope it does, though. Honestly, I hope it does. I know I've been very negative about this Pokemon game since it's released and even before it released, but honestly, like, Legends Arceus was just an awesome game. I put 60, 70 hours into that game. I had so much fun playing it, and I was hoping that this game would give me that same sort of experience, that same sort of fun, and that same sort of feeling, and it seems like it's not going to, and it's not going to get any better. I'm able to look past some stuff, but when it's a constant thing that's thrusted into your face, like you're at a strip club or something, yeah, that's kind of where I draw the line. But what do you think? What do you think about this new mythical patch that's coming out, supposedly, or something like that? Do you think this is going to fix the performance issues of the game? Do you think this will just be focused more on bugs and glitches and things of that nature? Let me know what you think of it in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. A lot of you guys were asking about yesterday's video. I'm good. Like, I'm good. I really just made that for people who are struggling, for people who don't have someone to talk to, for people who feel like, you know, that their world is closing in on them. You know, I've been able to control those feelings for quite a while now, because I understand them, because I've dealt with them for, you know, 20 plus years. But I feel like a lot of people out there don't. A lot of people don't know how to react to it and stuff like that. So that was just my little help to you guys. Stay strong. We're all in this together. You know, I love all you guys. Thanks for watching this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.